2024 has absolutely been the year of the underdogs in MMA. We've had more underdogs win main events than I could ever remember, and more giant favorites getting smoked than I could ever remember. 2024 has been wild. And let's see if Edson Barboza can continue this underdog trend in main events. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 92 fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings plays. Before I do that, let's take a look back at UFC St. Louis. We had several premium members reaching out saying, thank you, look at what I was able to do. And I love when that happens. We have over 3,000 premium members. Those are people that have gone to WeWantPicks.com. They've clicked become a member. It's $10 a month. And those people have access to everything that we do. So when they use those tools out in the world, out in the wild, and they have success playing DraftKings, and then they reach out to tell us about that success, I absolutely love it. Saturday night after UFC St. Louis, I was sitting in this chair looking at this camera about to do my recap video, and I got this email. This email came from Josh at 9:39 p.m. last Saturday, and it said, 2 weeks in a row, I have won the $3 DraftKings tournament. $1,200 last week, $2,300 this week, all with your help. If you need screenshots, please let me know. And I said, you know what, Josh? Send those damn screenshots. And he did. Here's the ticket from this week. So I love when that happens. And he wasn't the only one. I tweeted this. I screenshotted this and I tweeted it. And the Benevolent Spung responded saying, let's go. Membership pays for itself. And he showed his $80 winning DraftKings entry. Keep in mind, premium is only $10 a month. And then MS00122 this morning at 8:30 this morning sent me his DraftKings winnings from last week. And he said, I'm late getting this to you, but I want to thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you guys for reaching out, because Jacob and I do put in the time, the effort, the research. Josh is behind the scenes, not this Josh, a different Josh, is behind the scenes building the website, making sure that the WeWantPicks.com premium offering is quite literally the best offering on the planet. The website is fast, it's snappy, it looks good on mobile, it looks good in real life, and it works really well. So thank you to you guys to reach out and give us that feedback and share your success with us, because we obviously use it and share it with the rest of the community. We have had over $545,000 in DraftKings winning. This is not betting. This is DraftKings fantasy winnings, over $500,000 in the last 6 months. That is not an accident. You don't accidentally bring a community with you stumbling into $500,000 in DraftKings winnings. All of these people have access to our cheat sheet. This will be populated. It's not populated right now because it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. This will be populated by 6 p.m. Eastern every single Friday before the fights. And it will be populated with the ownership projections, which we have the best in the game. That's an objective fact. The scoring projections, the leverage plays, and the leverage play is a proprietary calculation that we've put together that basically says, if you need a spot, this guy is great leverage, meaning he's not highly owned and he is projected to score well. We also have cash pool yes-nos and GPP pool yes-nos, meaning you're building your lineup. You have your ownership projections. You have your scoring projections. We've told you if they're a good leverage play or not. And then we say, should this person be in a cash game or should they be in a large field tournament? And now you have everything you need. Everything you need to build yourself an entry. And you can use the optimizer to build your entry as well. This is preloaded with those ownership projections. You click a few buttons, boom, here's 150 DraftKings lineups, or here's one DraftKings lineup ready to go. All of this, a million other things that I won't mention because everybody complains when the intro goes too long, at WeWantPicks.com. Just click become a member. It's $10 for an entire freaking month. Here is your success from last week. This is last week's success. This isn't success from 8 months ago that we're still hanging our hat on. Here's your success for the last 6 months. And this is only the tickets I could fit on one single slide, so I don't have 30 different slides going on here. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. It's $10 a month. UFC 302 is the next event that will be included in your membership. Let's go ahead and break down this card. Entertainment-wise, this is a good fight night card. I'm looking forward to it, especially for the Apex. When they leave the Apex, you tend to get a higher quality card. The Apex has been a crapshoot lately, but this is a very good Apex card. Probably the best one this year. Lots of good matchups, lots of really fun fights, couple of short notice matchups as well. Let's go ahead and break down this card. We're going to start at the bottom. We're going to work our way to the top, and I'm going to tell you who I think should or should not be in your DraftKings lineup. They open up the card with Emily Ducote taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Emily Ducote should win this fight. She should absolutely win this fight. She should also not be in any of your DraftKings lineups. She has priced at $9,200. Even in her 2 UFC wins, she didn't sniff 92 points. 77 in a win over Jessica Penne, 82 in a win over Ashley Yoder. She just doesn't score well. And that's because, yes, she is a good striker. Yes, she throws punches up the middle. She's got good volume, good takedown defense. She's got all of those skills. And that's what's going to help her win here. But she doesn't wrestle offensively, and she doesn't have enough power to knock you out. So all of a sudden, we're in 3-round decisions. All of a sudden, she's winning these fights with significant strikes alone. And while significant strikes earn you points, they don't earn enough points to cover her salary. I do think Emily wins this fight, but she's got an interesting matchup because Vanessa Demopoulos is good. I think Vanessa is being disrespected with this $7,000 price point. Vanessa could absolutely win this fight. Vanessa scores really well and has covered her salary in every single win she's ever had, except her most recent one. Her most recent win was dicey. I don't know how she won this. I don't even know how she scored 60 points because she had a 5-point reversal and fewer than 2 minutes of control time, but she was taken down 5 times. She gave up 10 minutes of her own control time, but that was against a nonstop wrestler. That's not who she's fighting in this case. If you go look at her wins, she covers her salary. 100 points in the win over Oliveira, 70 points in the win over Jin Yu Fry, 90 points in the win over Gomez Juarez. Her losses are to solid fighters in Karolina Kovacevic and JJ Aldrich, fighters that are able to close the distance, get her to the ground. Vanessa is a good dog at $7,000 and is probably worth a look for your DraftKings lineup. Keep in mind, you have a $50,000 salary and you have to draft 6 fighters. You cannot have all favorites. That's just not how that math is necessarily going to work. You're going to need some dogs here, and I think Vanessa Demopoulos is probably a decent dog to look at for your DraftKings lineup. Then we have Kleydson Rodrigues, and he is taking on Alatengheili. This is another situation where we've got a good-sized favorite here, priced accordingly, $8,600, who has a little bit of a tricky fight. If Kleydson Rodrigues wins, he should cover his salary. This guy's a good forward pressure fighter. He's always doing something. He's a ton of fun to watch. Very versatile striking. He'll mix in kicks really well. He'll throw a ton of punches. He does have power. He will let his hands go. He throws them from the hip. So while you see him coming, they do have a ton of power in there. And then he'll work in some takedowns. He'll like to clinch up, close that distance, trip you to the ground, drag you to the ground, work some Greco-ish style takedowns. He is coming off this loss to Farid Basharat, which was not a great look, but Farid is like next level good. Where his opponent here, Alatengheili, is not as good as Farid Basharat. Kleydson Rodrigues at $8,600. If you are confident he wins this fight, then he's probably worth that salary. Because if we look at his opponent, Alatengheili, and it is funny, they have the H is for Haley and the last name is Alatengheili. Like DraftKings, Sportsbook, nobody knows what to do with some of the Asian names. They don't know when the last name is the first name. They don't know when one single name is 2 names. It's always interesting to see how that's broken up. So they basically have him listed right now as Haley Alatengheili. That's how they have his name listed. Idiots. But he is a good fighter. Despite the confusion with the name, he can be a technical striker. He can be a busy grappler. And as I've pointed out in the past, he cannot do both. He has multiple fights where he dominated with grappling, multiple fights where he won with striking, but he has no fights where he was a true mixed martial artist where he had great striking and great grappling. He's good at one or good at the other, doesn't blend it well together. If he shows up and wants to be the good striker, Kleydson Rodrigues blows through them, puts up the points. We've seen him be behind in the striking at times. We've seen him sort of struggle with people that have snappy, versatile striking. If he wants to show up and be the wrestler that had the 2 takedowns against Chatty Baby over here, the wrestler that had 4 against Benoit, 3 against Dana Bagarai. If he shows up, that guy, he could absolutely win this fight. I am not going to take the chance on Kleydson Rodrigues. I do think Kleydson probably wins this fight, but Alateng. See, now I'm mixing the first and the last and just making a new name. Haley Alateng or Alatengheili is a durable guy who will hang out. He will be there. Win, lose, or draw, he will come forward and he will try to win that fight, but he is a durable guy. So Kleydson Rodrigues might land some of his best shots and get frustrated and then slow down, where Alatengheili going to keep coming forward, not slow down. I do think Kleydson wins this fight. I don't trust him at $8,600. Then we have Pinheiro Rodrigues taking on Ariane Carnelossi. Pinheiro Rodrigues, good size favorite here, $8,800. Like the pricing here seems a little crazy to me. I do think she wins this fight. She covered that salary in the win over Sam Hughes because she had 5 freaking takedowns. In the win over Kay Hansen, she did not cover her salary. And that's because while she had 3 takedowns and control time, the striking volume was low at only 50. Pinheiro Rodrigues is going to come forward. She can be a nasty striker. She's got some real finishing ability. She'll plot forward, let her hands fly, and she knows what she's doing. Even though she's winging punches, she knows what she's doing. She's putting everything into them and trying to finish those fights. Good takedown defense at 66%. She is defensively sound on the ground if you get her to the ground. Understandably so. She was just submitted by Jillian Robertson. But Jillian Robertson quite literally has the most amount of submission wins in this division. And Pinheiro Rodrigues was doing well in that fight until she exposed how low her fight IQ is and then took the far more dangerous grappler to the ground. That was quite a bit of a problem, especially when Pinheiro can be a good striker. She's taking on Ariane Carnelossi. The reason these price points are so wide, the reason the odds are so wide, is Ariane Carnelossi has been out for 2 years. She had back surgery. She's been gone for 2 years. And while she is a good, well-rounded fighter, she's not technical. Like, she's a good fighter because she is strong, she's fast, she's mean. But technique-wise, just skill for skill, she's not great. She's not very skilled. She's just strong. She stays in your face, and she's a dog. She will fight you. And sometimes that's all you need in these women's divisions, a strong dog. That's all you need. But a 2-year layoff, not being the more skilled fighter here, I am going to lean Pinheiro Rodrigues. I'm not going to have her in my lineup because I don't think she covers her salary. I don't see her finishing Ariane Carnelossi. But Ariane is aggressive. She's strong. She's willing to fight. Good takedown defense. Like, Pinheiro is going to need to have great timing to get this fight to the ground. She's going to need to avoid being held against the cage. And we just don't know what Ariane is going to look like with a 2-year layoff. So I'm probably going to fade both sides of this fight. I totally get people on the Ariane side. Frankly, if there wasn't a 2-year layoff and she didn't have back surgery, she might be the favorite or close to it. I'm going to go Pinheiro Rodrigues side. I fade long layoffs, and that's what you're seeing here. Then we have Magomedov, and he is taking on Warlley Alves. Listen, people hate Abus. Abus was not the guy everybody thought he was. He came in, he beat a chinny Dustin Stoltzfus. Then they threw him in a main event against Sean Strickland on a fight night. He got finished. And at the time, everybody's like, Sean Strickland's got pillow fists. He's got no power. He finished him. And people were like, Abus sucks, no cardio, soft. But then Sean Strickland went on to drop Izzy and then win the middleweight title. So all of a sudden, that loss isn't so trash. Then he lost to Kyle Barallo. People were like, 2 losses in a row. Abus blows. This guy sucks. He's a bum. But Kyle Barallo remains undefeated in the UFC. Frankly, is probably a top 5 middleweight right now. And he out-wrestled Abus. I think Abus Magomedov is better than this 2-fight skid. Is he that guy? Is he the guy they were trying to convince us he is? No. But he is a versatile striker. He does have wrestling in his back pocket. He does like to throw big shots and shoot takedowns when he needs to. I think Abus is very good, and I certainly think he's good enough to win this fight. And if we're looking at expensive favorites, he's one of the few that I actually trust. He's taking on Warlley Alves, and while Warlley Alves is a dog, he's tough, I don't think he wins this fight. He's a little older. And yes, he's a BJJ black belt. He throws wild to set up his takedowns and get it to the ground. And he's got some power in his hands, but he is chinny, and he's just too reckless for his own good. His chin doesn't support his reckless come-forward fight style. And he'll put his head down and he'll just and stay in your face. And if you think Abus is soft, if you think Abus is a quitter, and you think Warlley Alves in his face is going to break him, ride the Warlley Alves train to a giant payout. Personally, I don't think that's Abus. I think he's just getting a bad rap for his last couple of fights. I think Warlley comes forward a little stupid, a little reckless, a little dangerous. Abus starts wrestling, turns into a Nurmagomedov, gets this to the ground, slows the whole thing down, and then beats up on Warlley. potentially finishes him as Warlley slows down in the second round. Warlley does not have 3 rounds of cardio. Abus doesn't either, but Warlley nowhere near it. Warlley Alves does give you Diego Ferreira vibes, the guy that just beat the biggest favorite on the card last week. But Diego Ferreira was durable. Warlley Alves is not nearly as durable. I mean, he's getting finished in all but one loss, and he didn't get finished by Nicholas Dalby, who not a prolific finisher, if you will. I like Abus here. I do think he wins, and I hate to spend $9,000 on him, but I'm going to have to because I don't really love a lot of these other heavy favorites. Then we have Melissa Gatto taking on Tamires Vidal. Melissa Gatto, $9,400. At one point in time, Melissa Gatto was the biggest favorite on this entire card. Let me remind you, Melissa Gatto has not won a fight in a few years. 2.5 years was her last win, and that was over Sijara Eubanks. Melissa Gatto is stepping up on short notice. Not dramatically so, but it's a couple of weeks. Melissa Gatto is also moving up in weight. Just know all those things before you spend $9,400 on her. Of course, she lost to Tracy Cortez. That's a decent loss. Some people would argue that she looked good, could have won, blah, blah, blah. Decent loss, right? Tracy Cortez is good. But Melissa Gatto has to get the takedowns to win a fight. If she doesn't get the takedowns, she doesn't win. This is Ariane Lipsky, who is now married, so it's now De Silva. But Melissa Gatto needs, or divorced. I don't know which way. Melissa Gatto needs the takedowns to win the fight. She lost to Ariane Lipsky because she went 0 for 4. Sorry, 0 for 4 was generous. 0 for 7 in takedown attempts. Without the takedowns, she's got nothing. The striking is not great. And while she is strong, she's not necessarily strong enough to keep you against the cage and work you there and beat you up there and hold you in a clinch. So all of a sudden, we got Melissa Gatto, short notice, stepping up in weight, needs to get takedowns to win. And the conclusions a lot of people are going to draw is, well, Tamires Vidal is a fraud because she lost to Montserrat Rendon when she was a massive favorite at $9,000. Tamires Vidal is a fraud because she got taken down 3 times in her last fight. And Melissa Gatto can take her down, so Melissa Gatto should win. And I'm not going to rip that logic apart because it's not the worst logic in the world. Melissa Gatto can get takedowns, and Tamires Vidal gets taken down. Pretty straightforward. But I am not spending $9,400 there because I still believe in Tamires Vidal. Former soccer player, so she's got those big thunder thighs that she can crash. She's big. She moves forward. She will wing punches. She will look for her own takedowns, and she is aggressive. She's also durable. While that last fight was kind of embarrassing for her, she didn't stop. She still landed 78 strikes, 60 significant ones. And then if you go look at Montserrat Rendon's next fight, she did lose, but watch the actual fight. It was a great fight where she showed she's got good, aggressive wrestling. Montserrat Rendon is big in more places than one. She's got good takedowns, and I don't think Melissa Gatto has as good a takedowns as Montserrat Rendon, and I don't know if she'll have the same success. And frankly, Tamires Vidal losing like that as a big favorite might have been the best thing that happened to her. All of this to say, I think Tamires Vidal might be a decent underdog here. I genuinely think so. At the very least, I don't like Melissa Gatto at $9,400. That, at the very least, not doing that. Now you see why Abus Magomedov all of a sudden isn't terrible. If we take a look at the newest fight on the card, we have Oumar Sy. And he is taking on a short notice Tuco. Pizza. You should know. I imagine a lot of you have had a lot of Little Caesars in the basement. Probably right now while your mother's upstairs. Just fucking greasing all over yourself. Just Little Caesars so that tomorrow you can watch the fights and then say that Abus is soft while you have grease dripping off your nipples. Eating Little Caesars. I don't know what the fuck that rant was. My bad about that. I just said Tucos. And then it just reminded me of pizza. And then I just lost it. I turned into Jacob, making fun of basement pizza eaters. My bad on that, guys. I clearly have eaten a pizza or two. Although, look, I'm getting in shape, guys. So all you loudmouths, all the loudmouths that want to make comments, good luck. Good luck. Anyway, we got Oumar Sy. This guy's a beast. He was on this card already. This is his third opponent in the last couple of weeks. His first one dropped. Then Mackenzie Dern's husband, whatever the hell he is, stepped up. Then that dropped. And then now we have Tuco's stepping up on short notice. Oumar Sy, great signing to the UFC. You see the French flag, you're immediately going to assume this guy's boring as shit. But he's not. He's a very exciting fighter. He's a walking highlight reel of knockouts, big slams. He's an explosive guy that has tons of athleticism, tons of power. He'll shoot takedowns. He'll kick your head off. He'll punch your head off. He will come forward and he will fight. And he also has a full 15 minutes of energy. Now, in minute 14 of a 15-minute fight, is this dude all power moving forward? No, of course not. He dramatically slows down, but he doesn't quit. He doesn't death gas, as the kids would say. He's got 7 finishes, 2 decisions, and he won both of those decisions. And I love seeing that, and I went out of my way to watch those wins just to make sure that he doesn't gas. Because it's always risky when you get a UFC prospect, a debut that's never been out of the first round, and all of a sudden looks like dog shit when they do get out of the first round. So Oumar Sy, $9,600. I do think he's worth that salary. He's taking on Tuco. Is a grappler, a chinny grappler. So he should lose, and that's the end of that breakdown. But I'll give you a little more insight. He is from the road to the UFC tournament. He did get finished there, but he's one of those guys. He's British. He grew up watching his Brazilian father. Then he turned to jiu-jitsu a little later in life, only about 4 or 5 years ago. And I guess he's decent at it because he's gotten good pretty quickly. He is still very much a grappler, though, even though he has expanded his skill sets. And he will wait for you to commit in the striking. He'll wait for you to throw, and then he'll whoop, drop, and then shoot and try to run right for you. He has Bilal Muhammad-esque grappling, and he's nowhere near as good. I'm just comparing the style. Where Bilal Muhammad has great control on top, but is also always doing something. He's not a wet blanket. The term wet blanket is for somebody who takes you down and just lays on top of you and holds you down and does nothing. He's not a wet blanket. He will control you. It is very hard to get out from underneath him, but he will be striking and elbowing, and he will be busy with lots of pressure the entire time. His game plan is avoid getting knocked out and get the fight to the ground. I don't think that game plan is going to work here. Avoiding getting knocked out in this fight is not going to be an easy thing to do. It is a short notice fight. There was flights involved. I don't think he's at Extreme Couture. So I do believe there was some travel here, and he did have to make some changes. Short notice step up against a wildly, wildly dangerous athletic guy. I think Tuco is going to have a rough UFC outing here. He's a guy we've seen finish before, fighting a guy who does the finishing. Oumar Sy is the other massive favorite that I do trust for my lineup. Then we have Tommy Nolan. T. Knowles. We have Tom Nolan, and he is taking on Victor Martinez. Tom Nolan, sort of a disappointment in his UFC debut. He was that hype prospect that was finishing people. He was that hype prospect that showed up and got knocked out in the first round, and people said, fraud, fraud, fraud. We are not getting a discount on him, though. We're not getting the fraud discount on him that we are getting on Tamires Vidal. And I think it's because people recognize, like, okay, he lost, but he lost to Nicholas Mata. Nicholas Mata has always been a good, powerful striker who people counted out because of his previous performance. Tom Nolan's a long, lean striker. He's got that sort of long, lurchy style frame. He's accurate, he's technical, but he also has no problem just keeping his face in your face, moving forward, and getting into a brawl. Outside of this knockout by Nicholas Mata, he typically is pretty durable. He typically has a good chin. I've seen him eat more than one huge overhand right. He's got lots of pressure, lots of volume, lots of power. Takedown defense sucks, but I don't think it's going to matter in this fight because he is fighting Victor Martinez. This guy's also a fast, powerful striker. He's got that Mexican fighting spirit, so he's not going to quit on you. He's a guy that will only stop fighting if you break his jaw, basically, you knock him out. His kicks are not very good, and the only reason I point that out is because in several fights, his kicks are getting caught and he's being taken down. He does have clean, sharp boxing, but he doesn't hide anything behind it. It's just boxing. It's not boxing and a kick. It's basically just boxing. If he throws a kick, it's lazy because his corner was like, kick. But Victor Martinez can be dangerous. Good BJJ defense if he is taken down. He's got good get-up skills if he is taken down, but I don't think any of that matters. He was just knocked out by Jordan Levitt, who, I mean, getting knocked out by Jordan Levitt's not a good look. That's not a good look for anybody. Like, holy shit. And that's why these odds are what they are. I do think Tom Nolan wins. I do think Tom Nolan wins by knockout. And sometimes you just got to do 1 + 1 = 2. And getting knocked out plus by Jordan Levitt equals knocked out by whoever the hell your next opponent is. Sorry, Vicky. I don't think you're going to get this one done. Then we have Angela Hill taking on Luana Pinheiro. Angela Hill, $8,300. Angela Hill is worth the money when she's either A, under Magomedov, as she was in her last fight against Denise Gomes, or B, just an absolute strike machine that's just nonstop. 182 significant strikes landed. Those are the only 2 times she's worth the money. Other than that, 70 points, 70 points, 70 points. Like, she doesn't cover her salary very often. And that's because she's not dangerous at all. She's got no real power in her hands whatsoever. She's not, outside of this fight against Denise Gomes, where she did become under Magomedov, she wasn't a wrestler. That's the most amount of takedowns she's ever had. Period. Like, by far. By far. And it was a great game plan from her, and it worked really well for her. She's a high IQ fighter who does make adjustments. I don't think in this fight she will come with that wrestling game plan because Luana Pinheiro has very good jiu-jitsu. So I don't think she's necessarily going to shoot a bunch of takedowns, but maybe that's who she's becoming later in her career. And if so, boom, worth the money. She is only $8,300, and that's what makes this tricky because I do think she wins. She's fighting Luana Pinheiro. Luana Pinheiro is a powerful striker. She's got good BJJ. She can be dangerous off her back. Solid takedowns as well. She averages about 2 takedowns per fight offensively. She's got no problem swinging wild, closing that distance to try to get those. She is high volume, but she can make some questionable decisions. She was just finished in the 3rd round late by Amanda Ribas. She had a little bit of success leading up to that. She had a takedown, landed some strikes, a little bit of control, but nothing crazy. I do think Angela Hill most likely stays on the outside, pitter-patter, tries to avoid the power. She should wrestle. I don't know if she will because Luana's good at jiu-jitsu. So I don't know if Angela Hill will wrestle, but she should wrestle. And Angela Hill might be worth a look at the $8,300. If you're building your lineup, and this is me thinking out loud right now, and I don't chase the large tournaments. I'm a cash game kind of guy. If I'm building my lineup, I'll do who I think are my quote-unquote guarantees. So, okay, let me throw Oumar in there. Fine. Let me throw Tom Nolan in there because I'm 90% sure he wins and he probably wins by finish. That's a lot of money right there. Now let me see if I can squeeze 1 or 2 mid-level, the 8-ish, low 8 price range, and then I got to chase some dogs underneath that. I think Angela Hill is worth some consideration at the $8,300 price point because I do think she wins, and I do think she will either land a ton of strikes or work in some wrestling. But the risk is that Luana Pinheiro is the one shooting takedowns, holding her against the cage, trying to make something happen, and Angela Hill just isn't able to get off. So it is worth the consideration. Angela Hill is going to be the pick. I think the fight IQ, the experience is just going to be too much here. Then we have Adrian Yanez taking on Vinicius Salvador. If I'm looking at the expensive favorites, Adrian is not one that I am going to put in my lineup. While he is very good, while he does have insanely clean striking, he's got 5 UFC wins with 5 Fight of the Night bonuses. That's how exciting this guy is. His striking is sharp. It is powerful. He is putting people down. He is a slow starter, so you can almost guarantee that first round he's going to give it up. He's not going to win that first round. It takes him a while to gain range. Even in his wins, he's not, unless he knocked you out in the first round like Tony Kelly, even in his wins, he's losing the first round. He's outstruck in the first round because he tries to find that range. He tries to gauge, and that's totally fine. Adrian Yanez is very good. He lost to Rob Font and he got clipped in a wild brawl where Rob Font just bang threw that hook and it cracked him. He lost to Jonathan Martinez because his legs were chopped out and he just couldn't support his body anymore. 2 respectable losses. People think Rob Font's washed. Maybe, but he's still a technical striker and he did just, while he's not a wildly powerful guy, that was literally the hardest punch he could have ever thrown and it landed clean. And then getting your legs chopped out is getting your legs chopped out. That is what it is. But Adrian Yanez is very good. The reason I don't love the $9,300 is Vinicius Salvador is very tough. Yeah, he is stepping up in weight class. He's going up in weight fine. He's not going to be huge, but he is a long guy. He is a striker. He's got a ton of volume, good accuracy. He is a durable guy. He is a guy that can drag this fight out and not get finished. I think Adrian Yanez wins this fight, but I think Vinicius Salvador can make it go longer. This could be a decision. All of a sudden, Adrian, who's coming off 2 finished losses in a row, isn't going to take chances, isn't going to bomb away, isn't going to risk getting hurt, isn't going to risk getting caught. You're going to take his time. Vinicius Salvador is durable. He's long, good takedown. No, not good takedown defense. But when he is on the ground, he throws things up. He scrambles. He looks for submissions. I don't think the ground's going to matter here. I think it's striker versus striker. Adrian Yanez is the better striker, but I think Vinicius is too durable to get finished. Then we have Temba Garimbo taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. Temba Garimbo is the other person I would consider. If you're not going Angela Hill, Temba Garimbo makes sense. They're about the same price, $100 difference. Temba Garimbo has the better opponent, meaning Angela Hill's opponent, respectively speaking. I think Ramiz Brahimaj is better and more dangerous than Luana Pinheiro is. But Temba Garimbo is a good fighter. Temba Garimbo can strike. Temba Garimbo can grapple. He will fight an outside game, a smart game, stay on the outside, be a distant striker. He'll manage range well. He'll use kicks to keep it there. He's very long for the weight class, and he likes to use that. Temba Garimbo will also bomb an overhand like he did when he knocked out Pete Rodrigues. This is a bit... Don't read too much into this. Pete Rodrigues was never UFC caliber, should not have been in the UFC. He got there with a short notice step up, was never good enough to be there. Temba Garimbo knocking him out, while great, we now know you have one-punch knockout power. That says more about Pete than it does about Temba. But Temba is very good. And even in this win over Sato, he scored 114 points. That's because of the 3 takedowns. You're not going to want... He did have a knockdown too, but you're not going to want those 3 takedowns against Ramiz Brahimaj. Ramiz Brahimaj is a world-level grappler. A world-level grappler. He's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu guy that has decent takedowns. They're not great. They're also not Mackenzie Dern. They're decent takedowns. In this win over Michael Gilmore, he shot a beautiful double, got it to the ground, and ultimately got the submission. And he is 100% submission or bust. There is no in-between with Ramiz Brahimaj. He is either losing or winning by submission. He's got 10 wins. They are all submission wins. It is fair to categorize him at this point in time, submission or bust. I think this sport is too far gone for submission or bust guys to win. I do not see Ramiz Brahimaj winning this fight. I just don't see it. The only way I can see him win, I don't see it. The only way I see it, my bad. I don't think he wins this fight. The only way I could see him winning this fight is if Temba Garimbo decides to go back to what he did in his other win and shoot those takedowns and get it to the ground. Because now you're just adding variables. Now you're creating a situation where you're putting yourself in a place where you don't necessarily need to be. Stay on the outside, strike with Ramiz, defend the takedowns, beat him like that. And that is why deciding between him and Angela Hill is a little tricky for me, because Temba Garimbo, his best way to win this fight is to score as few points as possible in DraftKings. Stay on the outside, just be long and just pump a jab and keep him out there. Pump, 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 jab, jab, jab. Don't engage in any grappling whatsoever. Don't overcommit to your strikes, because then he could duck under it and shoot. Stay on the outside, pitter patter. That's why I don't know if I'm going to have Temba Garimbo in my lineup, but I will consider Angela Hill a little more. I think Temba wins this fight. I think Ramiz is submission or bust, and I just don't see the submission. Then we have Chaos Williams taking on Carlston Harris. Chaos Williams, $8,200. This is a swing fight, meaning this fight could go either direction. Chaos Williams, when he wins, does score pretty well. He somehow put up 84 points. Now, granted, his salary was $9,500 against Rolando Bedoya, but he put up 84 points because the striking was there. He was a busy striker. The power connected a few times, but it wasn't able to put down Rolando Bedoya. He was flat-footed. He had no head movement at all, and he did slow down, but the power was there, and so was the speed. So he didn't look good in this fight, but he had flashes of he hits hard. The loss to Brown, not a great look. 78 in the win over Baeza. Up until that point, Miguel Baeza had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out. And Chaos Williams has that kind of power. Chaos Williams is the more dangerous fighter in this matchup. But he looked really bad in this Rolando Bedoya fight. He was flat-footed. He was no head movement at all. He was getting hit. He did stay durable. He did remain up despite leg kicks. Chaos Williams at $8,200 is such a tricky spot because he has the potential to put up very big points with that insane power. But he's also fighting Carlson Harris. Carlson Harris, well-rounded guy. He is a little older. He's not insanely old. He's just a little bit older, and he is pretty durable. Rakhmonov TKO'd him, but I mean, what is it? 17 wins with 17 finishes at this point? I forget exactly what Shafkat's record is, but it's something insane. So okay, he finished Carlson Harris, or Carlson Harris got finished by him. Outside of that, Carlson Harris has showed us that he can strike. He showed us that he can wrestle. He showed us that he's insanely durable and is never out of a fight. This Jeremiah Wells fight, he was losing. He was on his way to lose that fight. He was going to lose a decision. He was getting out grappled, getting taken down, found his opportunity in the third round and got it done. That's why he only scored 50 points. But that was 50 points as an underdog. In his wins, he scores really well. 94 against Aguilera, 110 against Impa Kasanganay, 113 against Jared Gooden. The problem with Carlson Harris is he almost needs you to overcommit for him to make something happen. His takedowns aren't great enough to just shoot him. Right? He waits for you to make a mistake, like you overcommitted, you threw way too much, and then he drops and shoots. On the ground, he's looking for mistakes. He'll snatch something up. He's going to snatch up a Darce. He'll look for them while standing as well, but his biggest issue is he doesn't really dictate. He can't force something to happen. He's almost waiting for you to make a mistake, and then he'll work with that. But we also just watched Chaos Williams make mistakes in his last fight. I am still going to pick Chaos Williams here, but insanely low confidence. If I'm building a DraftKings lineup, I'd rather have Carlson Harris in it than Chaos Williams because there's a higher probability of him scoring more points if he wins. This is a real tricky fight for DraftKings. I am curious what you guys think. I think Carlson Harris is a great dog on this card. I don't think he gets knocked out by Chaos Williams, who's been very fast and heavy-handed, but a little bit of a decline lately, if you will. So I'm going to fade both of them, and I'll stick with the Angela Hill for that mid-level price point. And then we have the main event of the evening. We have Lerone Murphy taking on Edson Barboza. Lerone Murphy, $8,500. Great price for a guy that is undefeated with 13 wins. Great price for a guy that has 5 wins in the UFC. And a great price for a guy that pretty much covers his salary. Not every time, but keep in mind, these are 3-round fights. 107 points, 60 points, 82, 81, 98. If any of these 41 in the draw with Tuco, if any of these are 5-round fights, including the 60-point one, add another 20 to that, that gets it to, add another 40 to that, that gets it to 100. Any one of these fights are 5 rounds, Lerone Murphy covers his salary in this fight. Lerone Murphy's a good fighter. He's a busy striker. He moves incredibly well. He does have some power. He'll light up your body. He'll step out of the pocket. He'll move away. His footwork will get him right back in to light up your body again, go to the head. He's very busy. He makes stuff happen, but he also can be low volume. Hang on the outside a little too long. He takes his time. He's risk adverse, if you will. He won't overcommit to stuff. And on one hand, that's high fight IQ. On the other hand, he doesn't bring the fight to people. And so when he's backing up, when he's moving in the wrong direction, he doesn't look spectacular. Obviously, he's undefeated, so we don't have a fight to go to where he lost because he was backing up. But the little bit of success that Makwan Amirkhani had was backing up Lerone Murphy. Makwan notoriously chinny, and that is what sort of changed the course of that fight. But Makwan staying in Lerone's face, moving forward, gave Lerone a tiny bit of trouble. And if we go to Edson Barboza, This guy is somebody who will stay in your face, who will back you up. This guy is somebody who can knock you out, who can submit you. Edson Barboza is one of the best fighters that never became a world champion. He's literally good everywhere. He's been around forever. I watched Edson Barboza knock out Terry Edom. This is an all-time highlight that is in every single highlight clip the UFC has ever put out. It is the spinning back heel kick to the head where Terry Edom just frozen in midair, goes crashing down. Edson Barboza has been doing his thing for 12, 13, 14 years in the UFC. I was trying to see if I can figure out how long he was outside the UFC before making his UFC debut, but he's been in the UFC for 13 and a half years. And he has wins over a lot of very good people. The losses are two very good people. Jamie Varner, former WEC champion. Donald Cerrone, was he a UFC champion? I don't think he ever. No, he lost to RDA. Okay, lost to Johnson. Fine. Tony Ferguson. Fine. Nurmagomedov. Also fine. The Lee fight. Okay. At the time, out-wrestled. No big deal. Lost to Gagey. Lost to Felder. Lost to Dan Ige. Lost to Giga. Lost to Bryce Mitchell. Those are all quality losses. Those are all very good losses. Lerone Murphy would be the lowest ranked fighter at the time that Edson Barboza has ever lost to. I personally think Edson Barboza wins. We just watched him win in a main event against Sadiq Youssef. We just watched him win against Sadiq Youssef in a main event. I think Edson Barboza can win this as well. There's a lot of questions about how good Lerone Murphy is because Edson will be the by far toughest opponent he's ever had. I'm going to pick Edson Barboza. Therefore, I will have him in my lineup at $7,700. I don't think you can go wrong with either guy as long as you're on that side. Guys, this is my breakdown for the fight. This is what I'm doing in my DraftKings lineup. At the end of the day, you should become a premium member and you should check out the stats, the data. You should look at the optimizer. Let the optimizer build some lineups for you. Let the math do what the math does. And you can unlock this and everything else. You can join the people who are winning almost $600,000. You can join this crew of people that won a combined, where are we at? $2,600 last weekend. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. You unlock every single thing that we do in an instant. Thanks so much for the watch. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and good luck this weekend.